mainly it's a load of shit, you know.
It's not rock and roll.
Maybe some of this death rock, you know, I've heard a lot of this stuff. A lot of people come up and say, oh, I love the Cramps, and that's great, you know, but then they say, you know, you guys have inspired us so much, and then they play the music, but it has nothing to do with the music we do. It's real dirge-like, you know, and singing these, usually singing preposterously ridiculous lyrics that are the worst lyrics I've ever heard, that are about nothing, and just plain bad lyrics. I mean, you know, I would enjoy listening to Cole Porter or something. Did he write lyrics? I don't know. But, I mean, you know, I'd like listening to anybody that writes good lyrics over some of this dog shit that I hear that is supposed to be moody or something like that. You know, I think we have a mood about us, but it's who we are, and you know, the way we choose to live our life or something. But man, a lot of this stuff is just people acting like they're vampires or something like that. I would prefer to be a vampire myself and act spooky or something like that. It's a real load of shit.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something out there I'm not aware of that isn't a load of shit, but all of it that I've heard is.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like they're taking, say, like you brought vampires, they're not even taking that seriously enough, are they? You know, I mean, they're not even that's this sort of sham, isn't it, really? Their sort of idea of what vampirism is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's real surface and shallow, and you know, like, you know, any reference we have to vampires, I think it's what a vampire really is. You know, it's what a vamp really is. It's all about sex. You know, it isn't about death or being moody or writing poetry, which a lot of them write. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you go back, sorry, go on now. Like, you know, vampirism was about sex, wasn't it? It was like, you know, the Victorian thing about sex and death, wasn't it? Really, that's sort of things that they were really hung up about. So that's where your vampires come from. But they don't even really sort of, the people who are writing all this dirgy stuff don't even understand what vampires are about, really.
I think a lot of people that are into that kind of music are into it for the fashion. Just, you know, I think they like the look of pallor, which I like, and they like, you know, being skinny and wearing black, which I like, you know. But I don't know. I don't much care what anybody thinks about what we do. I think we do what we do, and then when anybody wants to think about it, that's great. I think it's great if people are inspired to go out and play death rock because they hear us. That's okay. If they hear our records, and if they hear you know, us, you know, they hear you got good taste, and they think that's about death rock or something, you know, that's fine if they enjoy themselves, because I think we're entertainers, and we try to entertain people, you know. If the truth be spoken, that's what it is, you know. It's and people are entertained. That's great, you know.
Is this gothic
what
sort
gets
of thing?
Me is when people start explaining to me what I am, you know.
Is this sort of death rock, you know, tag they've thrown around, the Cramps sort of name, done you any harm then at all, do you think?
Not that I can see, but although I think what we are is a rock and roll band, which is a very universal thing, so maybe it's a tag that prevents us from being seen as universal as we are, but I can't see how it's hurt us, because at least it seems like play, like childlike to me. It's death rock and roll, and I think that's a good thing.
I think the main thing is no one has a goddamn clue what rock and roll is in this day and age, period. But we don't have to talk about anything about the Cramps, but what the Cramps are is a rock and roll band. We listen to a lot of old rock and roll, we like it, but we live in this day and age, we like a lot of things in this day and age, but we try to be a pure rock and roll band, what that is, you know. And I think where a lot of the mistaken stuff comes around is people don't understand what rock and roll is. You know, it's too foreign of a thing. People think it has, you know, more to do with music than it does, or more to do with this or that than it does. You know.
But although you're trying to keep rock and roll alive, which you are doing, in my opinion, don't you get accused
we're trying to play rock and roll. I don't know how. you know, like we're a rock and roll band. We play rock and roll, so it's alive when we play it. And I don't know how I don't know what exactly trying to keep rock and roll alive. I've heard that expression. I don't know exactly how alive it is, or if we can keep it alive, or anything else. I know we're a rock and roll band.
That's what we do.
That's what we do, and that's only.
We have no choice. It's like, you know, it's just who it happens to be what we are.
I wouldn't choose to do any other thing than be. To me, I think the hottest thing you could be in the universe is be in a rock and roll band. You know, like a lot of people, they start out playing rock music and then they go into acting or something. Can't wait to get into something else. I'd love to be in some movies, and I'd like to be, you know, make movies and stuff. I think that's a real cool idea and everything, but I just don't think there's anything you can be better than be in a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it, but I don't really think we're trying to keep it alive. If it's dead, then I don't care, because we don't know it is. You know, if it's dead, the people that think it's dead, I don't care to convert them. You know, I mean, if they get converted and listening to our music, that's great. But we don't care to convert anybody. We're not, you know, championing any cause or anything like that. We just do what we like to do, and the only thing we know how to do. Recently, in this magazine, Spin magazine that just came out, they wrote a whole issue on CBGBs and that whole scene from back in, you know, 76 and stuff like that. And we weren't mentioned in it anywhere, and all the other bands were mentioned. We played 50 times in Kansas City, and once a month for 3 years at CBGB's, but we weren't mentioned in that article. And I asked, you know, one of the, you know, the people at the magazine why we weren't mentioned. They said, well, we had a meeting on that, and we decided you guys are just really weird. You're not really a punk band. You know, I mean, we played with the Dead Boys, the Ramones, and all that. So like some people that are punks don't think we're punks. Meanwhile, we've had a lot of shows canceled, a lot of theaters trashed, a lot of places we can't play anymore because everybody thinks we're the head of the punks. You know, some people think we're not hip enough, we're a country band or something like that. You know, like you name it, and people think it about us. I think there's very few people that really got a finger on what it is that we do. You know, I don't know exactly what it is that we do. You know, I don't know how much I want to know.
The last thing before this was it Surfing Dead for the movie? Was like, I mean, that song, you know, zombie exploitation movie, like having a dream come true or something? Or
well,
had you had it in the can for a long time or what?
I never.
Oh, we recorded and produced it and mixed it in 3 days.
So how did that come about then? How did Dan O'Bannon come to work with you then?
We never met him. It was Enigma Records, which ended up putting out the soundtrack in America. They approached us and said we had this opportunity. They wanted us to do a song in the movie, and they said at the time, this was like fall of 84.
A year and a half ago, not quite a year and a half ago.
They said they gave us 3 days to do it, saying it had to be delivered on October 10th or something. We either did it in that amount of time or just don't do it. We thought, that's kind of strange. They need it so bad, but they're demanding that they have it quick. So yeah, so we said, well, okay. First song, we wrote some songs. We thought we hated it. And then we finally, no, it wasn't written or anything. In fact, we hadn't been doing anything for a few months when we approached it. After we toured.
No, they just showed us that movie without any music on it, and we were so knocked out by the movie, we just dug the movie so much because it reminds me of like a 50s movie. It has humor in it, you know.
Yeah.
Since then, it's been marketed as a comedy, although it's not a comedy. It's just humorous like horror movies were in the 50s.
I was going to ask you really, but it seems like it isn't really. But do you think the exploitation movies are dying out? Or do you think they're still directors who, you know, got something to add to the genre?
No, they haven't really died out. That there are a lot of.
Yes, it was inspired, but they're around. There's always exploitation.
See, the early ones seem to me be done with a certain innocence in a way, if you know what I mean.
But some of the people that were so
Everything
crazy
else
to
is
begin with, they're still
spoof, I
crazy.
think.
Like Ray Steckel just put out a movie called The Hollywood Strangler Meets the Skid Row Slasher, and it's great. He's the guy that did the incredible mixed up teenagers who stopped living and became mixed up zombies or something.
Yeah.
And it's great. I don't know. There are a few things around really shitty movies coming out that are real classics. You know, Mardi Gras Massacre is great. It's kind of a takeoff on Blood Feast, but it's really great.
So you reckon there's still enough around that coming out?
Well,
I mean,
Well, a lot of it doesn't. That's one thing we miss by being in New York, because we do hear from friends there. A lot of stuff just hits 42nd Street, doesn't even make it to LA. You know, because a lot of that kind of thing doesn't have real good distribution, and it does seem like a lot of it mainly plays on the East Coast for some reason. So we're always hearing about incredible things that they just don't come out there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's really great about right now that's happening that seems just amazes me every day is a lot of people are reissuing all these things that came out in the 50s and stuff on videotape now, and you can get all kinds of amazing things that, you know, maybe in the whole country maybe 2,000 people saw these movies to begin with, and now they're coming out on videotape and they're all masterpieces, you know. Rhino Video's putting out a lot of great stuff right now. They're just doing a lot of this stuff. Johnny Legend is putting out this thing called Sleaze Mania, and he's got out a movie. What are those movies? What is it? Confidential. There's
College Girl Confidential is a group.
you won't believe it. This stuff it's amazing the things that are coming out on video now. It's all coming out again, and a lot more people are seeing it today than ever saw it when it originally came out.
Yeah.
It's my hope for the future, I'll tell you, you know.
Yeah.
Because when people see this stuff, it's going to change culture. Today it will change culture, just as it changed culture somewhat when it did come out, but today it's, I don't know, it's just so much more intense than anything happening today. You know, it was made to shock people in the day that it came out, and it still shocks people.
It's all censored in England. We can't have it because because America's so big, you can get away with it. I guess, you know what I mean. You can go with all this good stuff, but England's so small. It's all like that Blood Feast and everything's been banned. You know, you're not allowed to have it and sell it and all this other rubbish. They did it with Evil Dead. You know, the guy that come to England to fight for his own film. Stand up in court and fight for the thing. To say, you know, this is not obscene, this is not, you know, degenerate, etc., etc.
Well, I can't believe that, you know, I can't believe Evil Dead, Blood Feast, I can see that being censored from a country because that is a product of a sick mind. That is really, there's something really wrong with that movie, you know. Not to say that everybody shouldn't see that movie, you know, but like a movie like Evil Dead, I can't understand why that would be censored from any country because that's a goddamn home movie made by a bunch of college kids in Chicago, you know. I mean, it's not sick. It's fun, you know. You go watch it. It's good and everything, but it isn't a sick thing made by a warped mind.
It's just like rebel plastic skull kits with breakfast cereal popping out of it, isn't it? You know what I mean? Things like that, isn't it? You can
I
see
hear somebody
it
talk like Evil Dead is just the apex of sick horror or something like that, and it isn't.
It's really ridiculous.
You know.
I mean,
it's a good movie, you know. I dig it. You know.
Disintegrate anymore. But yeah.
I do like several moments in it. I like the moment when the Band-Aid box floats by in the blood.